Hello, everybody. This is Erin Robinson. It's Mystery Monday. Today, we're going to be looking at Civil War letters. So, we're looking at two different digital archives today instead of just one. We're looking at the University of Washington Digital Archive and at the Library of Congress. They have two different collections of Civil War letters, and they're both awesome. So, I'm excited to share those with you. Before we get started, I do want to go over a couple of just really quick tips on reading Civil War letters. I'm not a pro at this. I practice all the time with my genealogy course, but practice is certainly not a pro. And it's great to get in there and look at as many as possible. But I have picked up a few little tips and tricks of the trade. So obviously, we are looking at digital archives. Make it as big as possible. I am known for making my screen super big and all my fonts super big just because I like to not hurt my eyes. In this case, especially when the letters can look faded, you want to make it nice and big so you're not hurting your eyes and making it frustrating instead of interesting. Use the sentences and the context of those sentences whenever you get stuck on a word. Instead of just reading and saying, oh, I can't do this whenever you get stuck, look at the context of the sentence and see if you can gather what the person is talking about. Oftentimes, the sentence context will help you. Try transcribing it. So transcribing just means writing it exactly as it is. I like to split my screen and pull up the letter on the left-hand side and a Word document on the right, and then I just move the letter around as I'm writing it down. If I had two monitors, it would be awesome, but I don't, so I just split my screen. Sometimes, for some reason, typing it out helps me. It might help you too. It just gives you a little bit more flow and some understanding of the context of what's going on. If you get stuck on a specific letter, specifically P, F, and S can look similar. You just start comparing them. If you know a certain word, you can use that to your advantage. So if it says please, and you've identified what the P looks like in this person's handwriting, then you're able to identify it elsewhere in the letter. Remember that names are commonly abbreviated. So WM stands for William, Chaz for Charles. And from the context of the sentence, you can often tell if it's a name. So use that. And there's plenty of sources online that can give you name abbreviations. Remember that these all have context, colloquialism, style based on the writer. This is not formal writing necessarily. These are personal correspondences, so treat them like that. This is not an English paper you're grading. They're going to have all sorts of different things in them. Just because it may not be correct doesn't mean you're not reading it correctly. So those are my tips for reading letters. Let's take a quick look so you can see what I want to show you. I'm just going to show you quickly. Let's start with the Library of Congress. And I'm going to give you the link, so you should be able to get right to the Civil War collection. There are a lot of great things in this collection. If you look over on the left-hand side, you can pick by subject. If you have a particular interest in like regions, you can choose that too, or dates. But in this case, you're probably going to be searching up here. And as you might have noticed, I've been searching for Isaac McCoy. And I'll just put the name up there. Most of this scavenger hunt is not based on really tricky hints. Like, I'm giving you most of the information to find the letter very easily using names. However, then you're going to read the letter, and that's where the challenge comes in. So you're going to read the letter and answer the question based on what you've read. That can become tricky. So I want a letter from Isaac McCoy to his mother. So I find that here. There's only 3 different things that come up with that keyword. I'm going to click on that and just give you a glimpse at what you're going to look at here. So it looks small. Obviously, I can't read that. Maybe somebody can. But that's why they have this lovely feature right here to expand it. So you can fill your whole screen with it and take a quick look. Now at the top, some of them have a pictorial, which is cool. That they usually say where they're camping and the date and then who it's to. And then they'll just start the correspondence. So in this one, I'm looking at after having spent a few days near the city of Louisville and having received your kind missive, I think that says, last evening, I concluded to inform you that the journey now at now set before us is one of length. We have already spent 3 days in marching from Nicholasville, okay, from our former camp to this point. So I'm not, as you can see, I'm not great at reading these, but I get the gist of what's happening here. I want to point out, remember we said P and F and sometimes S can look similar. So right here we have the word spent, and here's the P, and down here is of, and now we have this F. You can see how these look a little bit similar, and those can be confusing. And oftentimes I start to think that the W is an M in this kind of handwriting, but that is we. That's clearly we. So it takes practice to know what you're looking at, but practice is interesting. You can also look for context. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll down below about the item. Obviously, they have a summary, subject headings, and it just gives you some good context of the item, where it came from, how it was put into the system. So let's now look at just the University of Washington real quick, and it doesn't look a whole lot different. This is a Civil War journal for Jasper Bertram. And let me just back up really to show you. I got a bunch of hits on this one. It's very similar. You're going to put your keywords up here. You have different names over here, which if I give you a specific name and you want to check the University of Washington FAST, you could just check on the left-hand side there. But we have, click into one of these, and you can read the journal. Again, it has this great, looks the same on both sites, right? You're going to expand. In this case, it doesn't have it in the upper right-hand corner, and I still can't read it, so I have to zoom in manually. If your computer's not letting you do that, try Control P, which, sorry, not Control P, Control and then the plus sign. That'll get you in closer. So sometimes I have to use that keyboard shortcut. And then you can see what it says. We went on picket, nothing new. So that's just a diary. And a lot of the diaries, you would think you could click over to the next page, but it does look like many, especially in this diary, are individual pages and individual records. Again, below it has the info for it, and that's often how it's pulling up the information for you, right, based on keywords. So you can always download it if you wanted to save it, come back to it later. So there's not a whole lot different here. Again, I'm giving you the exact links to the collection, so there's not a lot of mystery in finding that. It's more about reading the actual letters, and some of the letters are quite faded. You're going to find one that I put in from New Hampshire that is very difficult to see. So that's what I have today. And if you have the wherewithal to go ahead and do the scavenger hunt, I'd love to see the results. So go ahead and fill out the Google form with your answers. If you have any questions, shoot me an email at erinr@dairypl.org. I'm happy to give you a hint or two if you get stuck, though I know a lot of people who play haven't had too many difficulties. So I hope you're having fun with it. I certainly enjoy putting these together, and happy sleuthing, and I will talk to you soon.